Welcome, golf sickos, to the season finale of Dan on Golf, presented by Knockaround. I am joined, as always, by my wannabe-ass Luke Donald in that blue and yellow fit.
Right.
You're just going full Euro after that?
I mean, I've been saying all along that this team was scary, so if you can't beat them, join them.
Okay, I guess so. Look, there are some things that we do better in this country than Europe does. Cheeseburgers, supermarkets, air conditioning. But the Ryder Cup, they have that on us.
That's their thing.
That's their thing. So Europe has now won 11 of the last 15 Ryder Cups, including 3 of the last 6 on American soil. A furious U.S. comeback in Sunday singles comes up just short. Europe won just one of the 11 matches and got just 3.5 points out of a possible 12, but it was enough given their dominance in the team sessions. We are going to break down this tournament from every possible angle. We're going to talk about the fans, we're going to talk about the players, we're going to talk about the captains, we're going to talk about the course setup. We're going to get into all of it. I'm going to say just a sort of brief overview of, I've been thinking a lot about this. I went and saw a movie last night with my wife, as we often do on Sunday, and all I could think about was the Ryder Cup and why we keep losing. And I'll say off the top that I think the story here is more about European greatness, about something special in that team room and that Ryder Cup ecosystem more than American failure. But first, we're going to start with a little segment that we call the Knockaround, presented by Knockaround Sunglasses. It's been a full year of traveling on the PGA Tour, traveling to the Ryder Cup, traveling to the majors. I have not left my Knockarounds even one time. These are the best sunglasses, and they're the right price. Stop paying stupid money for sunglasses. We have a promo code. So if you go to knockaround.com/DanOnGolf, actually, that's not right. If you go to knockaround.com/golf and use the promo code DanOnGolf20, these sunglasses are 20% off, which I think they're like $30-something to start out with, so it brings them under $30. Just stop spending stupid money on sunglasses because you don't have to sacrifice quality. Knockaround is the way to go. So we're going to start with our guy, Rick Gehman. He started the year way back when Dan on Golf was just a little baby, just drinking milk. He started off with a 22-1 hit on Ludwig Åberg to win the Genesis, and he ended it with a massive week. So let's put up this graphic. He made 5 picks on our show.
Wow, Rick.
Top USA wildcard, Cameron Young, bang, plus 360. Victor Hovland, 2+ points. Really only didn't hit probably because of an injury. We're going to talk all about the envelope rule, the stupidest rule that these two eyes have ever seen.
We would have swept without that fucking
JJ Spawn, 2+ points, bang. Top 3 European score, Tommy Fleetwood, bang. Winner, Europe, bang. So 4 of 5 from Rick. That is a huge week. We'll pop it up for Rick Gehman. The European dominance in this competition is so severe that we have people in the chat asking for Corey Connors. That's where we're at.
That's happening.
Give us Canada and Mexico. Not fair. Europe gets a whole continent. Corey Connors would solve all of our problems. I saw Alan Shipnuck was tweeting population statistics of Europe being 750 million, and heads were gone. Heads were gone at Bethpage this week. Phil Mickelson. I think a lot of people thought that he might be the captain for this Ryder Cup in New York. Obviously, a lot has happened since then. He's done. He's just done with the Ryder Cup. It sounds like no rumors. My Ryder Cup involvement is over. I'm happy being a spectator and rooting for Team USA. The Crump Cup, a very prestigious mid-am event at Pine Valley, was won by Bobby Wyatt. Bobby Wyatt played a full season on the PGA Tour. Just a full season on the PGA Tour. Let me tell you something what I think about all these former pros. I'm hitting the utter woke nonsense one, Andy. I just spoiled the surprise. It's utter woke nonsense. I have a no Memphis policy. I have a no Memphis policy. I might start boycotting mid-am competitions and just not talking about them until the former pros get out of the mix. Because
I like that.
It's an epidemic. Kapalua. So we talked about this on the show. They're not having the Century this year. This is like hard to watch. This is the scene at Kapalua right now. There's just no water. It's a nasty dispute, a legal battle between Maui Land and Pineapple and Uniqlo's billionaire owner, who alleged that Maui Land and Pineapple breached its contract by neglecting one of its water systems. Just hard to see. Maui's had a brutal couple years with the Lahaina fire and now this water situation. So don't know where the Century is going to be. And then Ben, I want you to tell us about a very special series that is coming back on Scratch.
Yeah, it's a big week for Scratch here. We have our flagship series, I would say, Adventures in Golf, coming back for season 9. Tomorrow, the first episode will debut, and Eric Anders Lang went to Ukraine, if you can believe it, to play golf. We actually have a preview of the first episode here. Pretty amazing stuff. Let's check it out.
In western Ukraine, just outside the city of Lviv, one course has stayed open, Edem Golf Club. A strange and stunning 9-hole track, Edam cuts through dense forest and is populated with surreal sculptures. It's part retreat and part modern art gallery. After serving his country, it's here that Dennis came, not just to rebuild his life, but to teach golf to those who have lost pieces of theirs. It's the reason we've begun this journey, a journey unlike any we've been on before.
When the war started, I think it's the day would change everything.
So make sure you catch that on the Scratch YouTube channel. Okay, now we are going to dive in with 2 feet to all things Ryder Cup. So the first 2 days of that competition were about as disappointed as I've ever been watching anything. You know, we came into the Ryder Cup with such high hopes. We said on this show on the Thursday preview that we thought it was going to be an all-timer. You know, it was 2 very evenly matched teams, at least on paper. You know, we thought the crowd was going to be electric, Bethpage Black, an iconic venue, and it was a blowout after 2 days. The crowd was pretty terrible, I would say, in terms of lack of cohesion and also just being kind of nasty. And it wasn't evenly matched at all for those first 2 days. But the Ryder Cup has an incredible knack for keeping you invested just when you think that it's all gone. Every Ryder Cup, no matter which team is trailing, no matter what the deficit is, there's sort of a 5-minute window usually, and it only lasts usually about 5 minutes, when it's like, okay, if this match goes this way and that match goes this way and we can just flip this match, then we got a chance here. There's an avenue to victory. It's almost like when you're watching the election, it's like, well, if Miami-Dade County comes in this way, then they might come back.
It's fan math. It's optimistic.
It's fan math, but it was like, it was breathtakingly close to actually happening.
Yeah, the next thing kept happening that needed to happen.
It kept happening. If Bryson had just won that match, and if Russell Henley had gotten that putt to the hole, or gotten his putt, or made his putt on 17, I think everything would have changed. So, you know, if Sunday that rally didn't happen from the Americans, you know, you think there's head loss now, there would have been incredible head loss with just the, you know, could have been so lopsided. So Sunday was an electric day, and the crowd was obviously much more involved. But I think the story of this Ryder Cup is really the first 2 days and not the second day. Our next one is, you know, good things happen to good people, and Shane Lowry is a good dude. So Shane Lowry feels things, I think, harder than almost any professional golfer. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and we see this when he's playing well. There's us. I've gotten to know Shane recently. That was when he hosted us at Hogshead, a course in Ireland that he is a member of. We had just an incredible day. It was him and his 2 buddies against me and my 2 buddies in a Ryder Cup style match. He eagled the 18th hole to close us out. Just a wonderful guy. And
prescient.
What'd you say?
That was prescient.
It was prescient. And for most people, winning a major championship on your home island, that's the pinnacle of your career, no matter what happens after it. But Shane said on Sunday that he actually thought that this was the most special moment of his career, and I completely believe him. And I think it's a window into this magic of the European Ryder Cup team that we're struggling to recreate. And I don't think it's any one person's specific fault. I think a lot of it is the success that they've had recently. Like, success begets more success. And when you're a team that is coming in with pressure like the U.S. is, and then you go down a little bit, I think that, you know, the heads start to drop, whereas Europe has this sort of playing for the badge mentality that we don't seem to have. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Shane, because he's been desperate for another moment like this. Like, he's had chances to win other big tournaments. You know, we saw what it meant when he like fell out of contention at the Masters, and he was like, I'm not going to sit here and talk about Rory McIlroy. I want to win the Masters. He feels things really, really heavily. He's a very emotional guy. You see it when he's playing well. You see it when he's playing shitty. He finally got that moment.
I think that there were probably more American fans actually hoping he made that putt than they thought there would be. You know what I mean? Like,
well, this European team is impossible to root against. They're just
especially him.
They're impossible to root against because of that team spirit. Yeah, it's you know, home team. This is my next one. You know, the home team advantage was the story going into this Ryder Cup. And we even had, like, Shane Bacon wrote a piece for us on Scratch saying, you know, Europe has to win this Ryder Cup because otherwise it's just the home team wins, the home team wins. I disagreed with that, because I thought if Europe won this Ryder Cup, then it's like we're almost like the international team in the President's Cup. Like, we're just keep getting our shit kicked in. And that's exactly what happened. So Europe's won 2 of the last 4 on U.S. soil, and I don't know what the fix is. And it almost reminds me a little bit of, like, I'm going to bring it back to Manchester United because they lost a horrible game this week. And it's like, sometimes there's just no good answer. You know, I think everyone, hindsight is 2020, and that is magnified with the Ryder Cup. You know, you can talk about the pairings, and we are going to talk about the pairings, and you can talk about the captain, you can talk about the golf course. Like, Europe is just better at this. They just are. And I thought the conversation about we should make it Team North America versus Team Europe, like, I can't think of a more un-American idea, nor would any player from Canada or Mexico have made this team. But I kept looking last night for reasons why the U.S. keeps losing, and they're really hard to summarize. They're really hard to put into words.
Because they're qualitative, not quantitative.
It's a feeling.
Yeah.
It's a feeling. And it was a feeling that we saw from Friday morning. It was like after that first session, 3-1, it was like, oh my God, here we go again. And I don't think that this is Keegan Bradley's fault. We're going to talk about that in detail. But first, let's talk about the individuals, because I do believe that individuals, players, win or lose the Ryder Cup. And because Europe has been so dominant, the records of our great players in the last 30 years are downright depressing. So Phil Mickelson is the all-time leading U.S. Ryder Cup point getter. He's 18, 22, and 7 in his career. Tiger Woods is 13, 21, and 3. Jim Furyk, 10, 20, and 4. Brooks Koepka, 7, 6, and 2. He's got a winning record. And Dustin Johnson has a winning record at 12, 9, and 0. But Jordan Spieth is 8, 9, and 5. And Scotty Scheffler is now 3, 6, and 3. All of our best players who are better than the Europeans on their own ball, there's something that happens in this competition where they shrink a little bit. And I don't think that Scotty necessarily played horrible this week, but the Europeans just played better. And if you look at the European records of their greats recently, Sergio Garcia is 25, 13, and 7. Ian Poulter, 15, 8, and 2. Rory McIlroy, 19, 14, and 5. John Rahm, 9, 5, and 3. Justin Rose, 16, 10, and 3. Tommy Fleetwood, 11, 4, and 2. The only one who has a bad record is Padraig Harrington, is 9, 13, and 3, and he was the losing captain at Whistling Straits. So other than Padraig, it's been a full generation, maybe even 2 generations of dominance. So Phil Mickelson, like I said, he's our all-time leading point getter. He has 21.5 points. Sergio Garcia, Bernard Longer, Lee Westwood, Colin Montgomery, Seve Ballesteros, and Nick Faldo all have more points. And Rory is now even with him. Rory has 21.5 points now in the Ryder Cup. Their players elevate themselves on this week, and our guys get beat. Even the best ones.
I was thinking about Scotty specifically this morning on the drive in, and I was wondering, and I'm curious what you think about this, if the way that he wins and the way that he dominates is so different than the way you win in a Ryder Cup match when you have a player, even in a singles match, that it doesn't like fit his mode. He's kind of like I'm going to slowly, death by 1,000 paper cuts. Like, you can't win that way in match play. And I just don't think it's necessarily set up for his mentality, maybe. Like,
well, I think we see this, you know, I don't think it's a coincidence. And I'm of two minds here, because it's like, the evidence is clear, but it's like, it's so hard to put into words that feeling that these Europeans have toward the Ryder Cup. I don't think it's a lack of effort necessarily from the U.S. team. I just think it's a lack of collective spirit. Like, the U.S. team crushed them in singles. I mean, crushed them 8.5 to 3.5. Like, that is tied for the most dominant performance ever since there's been 12 players playing in the Ryder Cup.
Now that you say it, when you think about the 2 days versus the 1 day, it kind of defines the dichotomy of the Ryder Cup.
It does.
Right?
They won it with their team. And, you know, I think if you look at the American side, how many guys jump off the page as like Ryder Cup dogs? Maybe JT?
Yeah.
You know, JT, maybe Bryson.
Emerging, yeah.
That's it. You think about Xander, he's a cool customer, quiet guy. Patrick Cantlay, he's not going to be the guy to light up a crowd. Scotty Scheffler, right? Like, all the talk is that, you know, he's so boring or whatever it is. Sam Burns, quiet guy. Like, even Cameron Young, who was amazing this week, quiet guy. You go over to the European side, and they have Rory and Rahm and Fleetwood and Rose And those guys all feel like future Ryder Cup captains. Who feels like a future Ryder Cup captain in this American crop besides Justin Thomas? I don't know if there's one. It's really hard to be someone completely different 1 week a year. And I think the prevailing notion from the American side, and if you read Shane Ryan's book, The Cup They Couldn't Lose, about the 2021 Ryder Cup, he talks about how they basically, the strategy was let these players be, they're the best players in the world, let them do what they do. And I think these guys don't want to manufacture that sort of play for the badge spirit, but maybe they need to.
See, I feel differently. I think the instinct is to say, like, how can we recreate the magic that happens in Europe? And I think that's a cultural thing that we can't recreate.
Yeah, it is. It feels like a cultural thing.
So maybe the Americans need to lean into American culture a little bit, which you can say what that is. I don't know if it's probably pretty eclectic, but they need to do something completely different that's very in their identity.
Right, but we're talking about all of this, and then it's like golf is a sport that's different than every other sport. It's like it's putts. Like, do the putts go in or do the putts not go in? The Americans could not make a putt the first 2 days.
Pressure putts is the Ryder Cup. Yeah.
They made all the putts. The Americans made most of the except for Russell Henley, who that was a felony offense, leaving that putt short on the 18th hole.
And that sucks because he was playing so well.
So well. Him and Shane both played extremely well in that match. Like, it was 2 of the best sessions that anyone from both teams played all week. But Russell Henley is the number 3 player in the world. How much more comfortable did he look on his own ball than playing with a team? We just can't figure out the team session. We can't figure out foursomes. We can't figure out 4-ball. Just can't figure it out.
What's the secret to ham and egg, right? Is it like emotional and spiritual? It's got to be, not physical.
You know, having been on site this week, like I don't think it's a lack of effort from the American team, but you can't fake that, like, spirit.
Things that get you going.
Things that get you going. Like the European teams they looked closer. They looked a little bit closer. And I don't think that's the captain's fault. What is Keegan going to say? Hey, can you guys just like each other a little bit more? Can you guys like just bond a little bit closer? Every American said Keegan's been an unbelievable captain. The spirit in that room was absolutely incredible. Are we just saying like those guys are liars and they don't actually know what good spirit looks like?
I think good spirit can come in many forms.
I know that I'm all over the place here, but we've lost 11 of the last 15 of these things. And the PGA of America, you know, after a bunch of, I would say, uninspiring captains, they went with this like emotional spark plug in Keegan, and every player said that like Keegan's been unbelievable throughout this process. And they almost came back, and it's, you know, this is a results business. Just sports is a results business. If Russell Henley makes that putt and Bryson, you know, gets it closer on 18 and, you know, he flips that match, the narrative is completely different. But you can't, I can't deny what my eyes see a little bit with the team component. It's not a thing in singles. The Americans were on fire in singles. Ben Griffin was firing the crowd up. Cameron Young was going crazy. It's the team when they're playing alongside one another where they just don't seem to be as comfortable. I don't know if it's because we don't play it growing up. I don't know if it's because the President's Cup, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But there's something going on where Europe, and I say this is the players, not the players seem to be more engaged, and they seem to elevate their game more in those team formats than the Americans do.
I still go back to like it's a cultural thing that if the Americans are going to try to recreate it, they're going to fail over and over and over again. There's something, I don't want to sound like anti-American, don't get me wrong.
I mean, you are wearing the blue and yellow.
But there is something about like the European disposition and like how they live over there that's like, there's a
collective spirit.
Well, no, it's almost, there's an embrace of simplicity over there too. Like in America, American culture is all about like hyperbole and the biggest and the longest and me and the selfishness. I think, you know, I can make it on my own. Like I did this by myself. That's sort of an American thing. Like the American dream exists. The European dream is almost like more community-based than the American dream. And I think that's a thing that weighs over these teams as they get together and gets more saturated on the European team than it can on the American team.
And like I said earlier, success just begets more success. So, you know, Europe always talks about playing for the guys before them. And it's like,
yeah,
when you think about Ian Poulter, you don't think about individual events.
No, you think about the Ryder Cup very specifically.
You think about the Ryder Cup. And I think, you know, in 10 years or 15 years, when these guys think about Justin Rose, the Europeans at least, they're going to think about the Ryder Cup. Whereas Americans, we think about Justin Rose, we think about him winning the US Open and getting to number 1 in the world. Like the Ryder Cup just has this pedestal in the European golf ecosystem that it doesn't seem to have in the American one. I know that I'm talking a little bit out of both sides of my mouth here, but I catch myself thinking, well, they just made more putts, and I don't think the Americans are not trying hard enough, but you can't manufacture the belief. You can't manufacture that spirit.
It's confusing because there's a lot
really
of
confusing
dynamic that goes into it. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Who, in your mind, are the American golf elders that could come together to really try to inspire that kind of spirit? And what do they need to do?
We've gotten our ass kicked so many times that I don't. If Tiger's, I think I think Tiger has to be the captain at Adair Manor because we need to go big.
Where was he this year though? What was he in those? He wouldn't.
I don't know
in
where
the team room.
I don't know where he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, Europe seems to have this core of Luke Donald and Dodo Molinari's become a huge part of it, and Thomas Bjorn and these guys who are there every single year. I don't know. Phil's basically just said he's done.
That sucks.
Furyk, yeah, it does suck. Furyk is not a Ryder Cup guy with 10, 20, and 4, and captained a brutal loss. And
I mean, it's not
Davis
it's not
Love.
Jack,
Davis Love is those guys are too old. There's a lack of.
Is Freddie interested?
Yeah, I think Freddie is interested, and Freddie's been around Ryder Cup teams before. But when you get your ass kicked and your ass kicked and your ass kicked, it almost feels like they're starting from scratch.
Everyone's got to get mad though and come together about it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You can't just be like, I'm tired of getting my ass kicked.
And I hope that the singles comeback doesn't make everyone feel kind of okay, because it's not okay to lose Ryder Cups at home. It's just not.
It's a 3-day event. You can't play well one day.
And Keegan said in his interview afterwards, he's like, we had a lot of fun today. We had all of our fun in one day at the Ryder Cup. They were dead for the first 2 days, but it was Europe made every single putt that they looked at. So let's move on to the next one. The envelope rule makes no sense and should be changed. And I understand it was a rule on the book, and I understand it happened in 1991 and 1993. It was stupid then. We change formats all the time in competitions.
Yeah.
Right. The Masters has changed its cut rules. The Ryder Cup used to be the U.S. against Great Britain and Ireland. Just because something was a rule once doesn't mean that it needs to continue to be a rule. It makes absolutely no sense that one team is unable to field a complete team and they get half a point. In the Solheim Cup, if one player can't go, the other, they forfeit the match.
That's some participation trophy, utter woke nonsense.
It is. I'm going to hit the button right now, Andy. Well, here's what I think about the envelope rule.
That's a woke nonsense.
It's like you get a half a point and you get a half a point. And I'm not saying that Victor, obviously no one is doubting the legitimacy of Victor Hovland's injury.
No way. Yeah.
Obviously he wanted to play. I'm not saying that he did that because, they wanted a half a point. But that is just the dumbest rule I've ever heard in my life.
I think it'll change. I think sometimes things have to happen to be an aha moment, and this was an aha moment. And I think that everyone's going to get behind the change because the alternative is having a one-on-one sudden death playoff probably, and that's great TV. If the broadcasters aren't going to get behind that, they're shooting themselves.
So Ben is referencing. There's two rules that I think need to change. The first one is the envelope rule. The second one is the whole retain the cup thing.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm confusing this.
If it's and we were so close. So if Sam Burns makes the putt to win his match, and this ends 14.5, 13.5, then it's okay, that half point would have been 14-14 if they had forfeited the match, and then they retain the cup because there's no tiebreaker rule. This is an entertainment product. If it's 14-14, both teams should nominate one player and they play a sudden death match. Imagine how box office that would be.
Box office.
That is where legends are made. You would have had Rory and Scotty, or you would have had Fleetwood and whoever you would choose on the American side playing for the Ryder Cup.
That's how you create an Ian Poulter figure.
That's how you create an absolute legend. So let's get rid of the envelope rule, and let's get rid of the whole retain the cup thing. Every year, the Ryder Cup starts from scratch. The team that gets more points wins. And if one team can't field 12 because one of their guys gets injured, it's like tennis. If a guy can't play in the match, he loses.
I like generally the idea that you really got to beat us to bring this thing back. But I think the way it manifested this year told us that okay, maybe that should.
It would be the biggest buzzkill of all time.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I get it. They made these rules back when the Ryder Cup was kind of just a little bit of a hit and giggle, and it was fun to get. The Ryder Cup's really, really serious. The Americans are crushed to lose. The Europeans are chanting and taunting the U.S. This is a serious win competition. The Ryder Cup has changed a lot. It's time to modernize the rules, in my opinion. Say something nice about the U.S. team. That's the challenge. Cameron Young was a major bright spot for Team USA. So New Yorker, he needed a serious rally late in the year to even get on this team, and he played his butt off all week. And we saw this a couple years ago with Scotty Scheffler. When Scotty Scheffler beat Jon Rahm in 2021 at Whistling Straits, Scotty Scheffler didn't even have a PGA Tour win yet. And he's racked up quite a few in the last 4 years. I'm not saying that Cameron Young is now going to become the next Scotty Scheffler and the best player that we've seen since Tiger Woods, but he did get his first win earlier this summer, and I think he's going to get a lot more. And the way he closed that match on 18, Rose is really fiery, and Rose was coming back on him to nut up and make that birdie on 18 in the first match. That was seriously macho. Cameron Young was a major bright spot for the American team moving forward.
I actually feel very bad for Cameron Young that the result ended up this way, and he played so well all week, because it was like the hometown kid. There was a lot of like, we need him to play well, and he did, but it gets lost because Europe played.
Yeah, but it gets lost in the larger discussion, but I don't think it will be lost. I don't think it will be lost here, and I don't think it will be lost for Cameron Young himself. Like, I think he will take so much juice from that Ryder Cup. So let's talk about this. I made a video on Saturday saying this is on the players, this is not on Keegan Bradley, and Bryson DeChambeau actually reposted the video.
That's so interesting.
It's the first. Know why. I don't know if it was just a slip of the finger, but it's the only Instagram video that he's ever reposted. And look, there's a natural tendency to finger point after this, to find a scapegoat. So I don't blame Keegan Bradley, the captain, because I never blame the Ryder Cup captain. It's not Keegan's fault that Scotty fatted that shot on Saturday from the 18th fairway. It's not Keegan's fault that they couldn't make any putts the first few days. It's just like it's not because of Keegan that they made all their putts on Sunday. There's variance. Putts are binary. They either go in or they don't. But Ryder Cups are about having the right players in the right moments. And ironically, it's why I think Keegan should have played. And I feel good about this because I said this throughout.
Yeah.
I said the captain really can't do that much once the Ryder Cup starts. They can do a lot in the preparation. Like, there was all this talk about Luke Donald basically covering up a crack, and I guess there was light getting into that hotel got dusted in that. That hotel got absolutely dusted in the post-round press conference. They were talking about, like, the bed sheets were ass, the shampoo smelled like shit.
Meanwhile, we got to hear about the Europeans getting, like, custom Le Labo
that's what I'm saying. They brought in all this stuff because they said, like, the hotel wasn't good enough. All that stuff is, like, preparation. Once it actually starts, it's on the players, and that's why Keegan, I think, should have played, because he is a dog. We talk so much about data and who should be in the Ryder Cup, but there's an intangible aspect to performing in the Ryder Cup, and it's almost like instead of looking at how a guy does in a 72-hole stroke play event, we should look at how are they when they get into contention. What is their attitude like? What is their vibe like? And Keegan, I would say, is probably our number one guy who, like, when he's in the mix, he becomes a psycho. Think about how many of the Europeans are like psychos in the Ryder Cup. And I say psycho as a very positive thing here.
Yeah.
Like, Justin Rose is a psycho in the Ryder Cup. Rory McIlroy is a psycho in the Ryder Cup. The only guy who we have on our teams who are psychos, I think, are JT and Bryson. Mm-hmm. And Keegan would have been, I think, a crucial member of this team. Brought a crucial vibe out there. He's the one guy who's one of the guys who's not, a Spawn or a Young or a Burns who's like really quiet and keeps to himself. Like, he goes crazy. I think he would have been, there was this one picture of Tommy Fleetwood and Justin Rose where they were like holding their heads to each other and it looked like they were about to make out. And like, I think a lot of Americans see that and they're like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Keegan would be that guy. And so that's why I think he should have played, because the Ryder Cup is about having the right players in the right moments. And I felt like Keegan would have been one of those players. And I said this all along. Once the Ryder Cup starts, he's going to be standing there with a headset. That's what happens with the captain. He could have done all the things that he did before, as far as building the spirit, as far as getting all the guys to play in Napa, and he still could have played and really helped this team. Not that it necessarily would have made a difference, but it might have. It's a lot easier to say it wouldn't have made a difference when it was, what was the score, 11.5 to 4.5, I think it was, or 11 to 4, whatever it was, going into Sunday. This ended up 15-13. The margins were really, really, really small. And I think Keegan, the player, would have made a bigger difference to this team than Keegan not being a player.
I think Keegan, the player, would have had more motivation than Keegan, the captain, in that, like, the whole, like, chains around the backpack from 2014 thing doesn't get necessarily resolved by winning as a captain. And I know this is all hindsight in 2020, but, like, what it would have meant to him to be a player, to be on the team, probably would have given a little more juice.
And also, Data Golf is an incredible website, But there's a downside to it that every jamoke with an internet access thinks that they're like a data expert and they know exactly what the pairing should have been. I mean, we're talking about, there's the strokes gained overall for the week. Cameron Young was the best player, Bryson the second best player, then Scotty the third best player for the Americans. We're talking about a tenth of a stroke when it comes to these pairings. And everyone says, oh, pairings are so important. Think about what happened when Fitz was supposed to play with Victor Hovland, okay? And then Victor Hovland couldn't play, and they plugged in Tyrrell Hatton, and they won the match.
Yeah.
It's because they had the right players. I don't think it really mattered who the European players were playing with. I think you could have jumbled around those pairings with those top 8, the guys that they had in the foursomes, and I think it would have been a similar result because it's the guys have the right mentality going in. It's not because of the pairings, It's because of who the individual players are.
I think the pairings get a little too much heat for the, like the sending Colin and Harris back out together. Like, yes.
Well, everyone said that sending JT out with Cameron Young in the afternoon was malpractice, and they won 6 and 5. And you might say, oh, well, Cameron Young picked him up. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's about having 2 really good players. It's not necessarily like the mix between them. And I understand in foursomes it's a little bit different with the golf ball and stuff, but it's like, I don't think if Tommy played with Rahm that they would have gone 2-1.
The 24 best players in the world are playing in this event. Like, any one of them can get hot and perform very well at any moment. That's why it's not about who's playing together. It's what they're capable of as individuals still. Yeah. Even when they're playing alt shot, like one guy's got to hit that drive. The other guy's got to hit the green.
And all of this data is extrapolated from 72-hole stroke play events. Shooting 68, 68, 70, 68 in Memphis or at the Travelers or whatever you want to, tournament you want to pick is not the same as performing in a Ryder Cup. Data is amazing. It's a great tool, but it's a lot more predictive if they're playing the same fucking format.
Yeah.
They're not even playing the same format. So, Keegan Bradley, we'll talk about him a little bit more. I feel terrible for him because I think he tried to make the right decision. He tried to make the good guy decision. We talked about this in detail before.
Yeah.
I think if Keegan Bradley has the resume of Tiger Woods, I think he's a playing captain. But I think, being the first one to do it since Arnold Palmer, and he said himself, like, it's very weird being talked about in the same sentence as Arnold Palmer because I'm not Arnold Palmer. So I think he tried to make the right move, and I think he tried to inspire his team.
What do you think the reaction is if it's the same result, 15-13, very close, Keegan plays and we lose? Like, do you really think he would have gotten everything that we
The losing captain gets killed no matter what.
No, if he had played and it was 15.
But he'd still be the captain. He'd still be the playing captain. Like, the losing captain, there's just no winning for a losing captain.
I guess it would have been double.
But it's about the players. I mean, who was the captain for the 2012 team at Medina, the European captain? Most people don't remember. It was Olathable. I got it right this time. I said Olathable once in a video.
Olathable.
People got really mad, even though Paul McGinley said Olathable on the broadcast this week. When Dan does it, it's a problem.
Sorry for my accuracy.
Yeah, sorry for being box office. I feel bad for Keegan Bradley because the Ryder Cup has just kicked him in the nuts.
Yeah.
He was
in every way
in 2012 or 2014, I think, when they had the disaster and Tom Watson got up there. Him and Phil got sad all day, and it was really brutal for him. And then we all saw on Netflix how much it would have meant to him to play on that team. He doesn't get picked, and then they do this thing where they give him the captaincy, and I think they didn't. I think there was a chance that he would maintain his level of play and make it into a conversation of whether he would have been a playing captain. But if any person on the planet was the captain besides Keegan Bradley would have been on that team and probably playing 4 times. I just feel terrible for him. He tried his absolute hardest, and this is why I'm saying, like, I think it's more about how amazing Europe is than any sort of shortcomings of Keegan Bradley.
I actually want to say something about that because there's a lot of chatter out there today about, like, oh, they picked this guy because of a Netflix episode. So what? That's what we're talking about. The qualitative factors.
Yeah, they tried to get that feeling. They tried to do something that was like cool and buzzy.
Yeah. Who cares if hell yeah, that Netflix episode brought some juice.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
What if it hadn't?
Yeah. It's I just feel for him. And I think all the players talk about how incredible he was and how much he put into this, and he looked like he wanted to cry the whole weekend. Sports can be really, really cruel sometimes, and Keegan, for better or for worse, will always be associated with this Ryder Cup saga. He'll be associated with not getting on the team, then getting this captaincy, then not picking himself, then losing at home. And
do you think there's any world where they give him another shot in 27?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. I don't think you can run it back after you lose. The more interesting question is, does Luke Donald want to run it back again?
That is more interesting.
And that is, just the fact that that's being talked about is indicative of how much the Ryder Cup has changed. Where it used to be like, and Bubba said this on our previous show, it used to be that the captaincy was a reward for a life well lived in golf. And it was, the Americans never went back to the well because someone else deserves a chance to be the Ryder Cup captain. It was almost like getting put in the Hall of Fame. Now it's like, what are we going to do to win this thing? It's all about winning.
Well, Luke Donald has developed a lot of tangible skills that now make, like, there is an ideal Ryder Cup captain. It's him. Like, he set the mold for it. So there's like a new formula now.
Well, I think he's got really good players.
I don't know. They all talk about the way that he captained in a pretty unique way. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't paying as close attention probably to the way that they talked about their last captain, but like they love this guy. Like he is doing something different. I don't know what it is. I'm not in the room, but it seems like he is doing something different.
I think the winning captain gets too much credit, and I think the losing captain gets too much stick.
That's fair.
And I know that that's not going to be a popular take because everyone in our culture wants to point the finger.
Well, if you say that about Keegan, you have to.
I said it about Keegan, and I said it about Luke Donald. There's certain boxes that you have to check as the captain, and I guess one of them is having nice shampoo for your players. But once you check those boxes, it's like the players got to go out there and perform, and the European players repeatedly have performed, and they've elevated in the moment. So this is a take that I've kind of been marinating a little bit, and I got to give Luke Curtin credit because he was the first one who brought it up. I wonder if the President's Cup is like an active negative for the U.S. Ryder Cup ecosystem, because how much more urgency would there be if these players don't, in the off years after the Ryder Cup, just basically get to have fun, beat up an undermatched team, and have a fun press conference where they smoke cigars and drink beers afterwards? I think it's, Europe gets 2 years to prepare for the Ryder Cup. They come in with this urgency. The U.S. gets to do this every year, and they win in every off year. And I think it's sort of, the U.S. is going to win the President's Cup at Medina, and everyone's going to, there's going to have the celebration videos, and it's going to sort of wash away this negativity. Whereas I think if they didn't have the President's Cup, and I'm not saying cancel the President's Cup, but whatever, but I'm just saying if they didn't have a winning opportunity in the off years, I think there would be so much more urgency. And I also think it just like inputs some bad data. Like, you could say, you say, oh, this pairing was really good in the President's Cup, but okay. Like it's just not the same sport. And I think it's just sort of clouding the system a little bit, where I think Europe is so locked in. They've got Adair Manor circled, all 11 of those guys. Like what they want to do is get to Adair Manor, all 12 of those players get to Adair Manor. The U.S. has this like off year boondoggle where they win every time. And I just think it lessens some of the urgency.
I think that's interesting, but ultimately, I want the President's Cup to still exist so the American team can get practice playing the format.
How about we need the captain of the President's Cup to also be the captain of the Ryder Cup. I think that's one of the changes moving forward. A little bit of consistency, a little bit of like, we're using this President's Cup because we want to win the President's Cup, but if we're being honest with ourselves, one of the reasons is to prepare for the Ryder Cup.
I agree.
And they already what better dress rehearsal than an actual competition like that? So
if they can practice bringing the mentality to that tournament, then yeah.
I don't even know who's the U.S. President's Cup captain.
Furyk?
Brant Snedeker.
Oh, Snedeker, yeah.
I don't know if Brant Snedeker is going to be the U.S. captain to Adair, but I think moving forward,
he'll probably be a vice captain.
I think moving forward, the captain of the President's Cup should be the captain of the Ryder Cup, but it's tricky because they're different organizations. One's the PGA of America, one's the PGA Tour. It's not. It
has a good relation with both. Tiger Woods.
Tiger, if you're watching, this is another opportunity to burnish your legacy. Come save the U.S. Ryder Cup.
Put the cape on, dog.
Come save the U.S. Ryder Cup team. All right. That was our first 9 parting thoughts on the Ryder Cup. We're going to break it up a little bit with a rank 'em blind. And before we do our zone rank 'em blind, I wanted to give Ben a quick zone top 3 flavors rank 'em blind. We're going to go peppermint, wintergreen, dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit's always number 1 for me.
Dragon fruit has been making a strong push for me. It was a big companion this week.
We got to see our friends at Zone in New York while we were there, and we snagged a few cans on the way out of dragon fruit.
It was
I'll go wintergreen. What was the other one?
Peppermint.
Peppermint third, yeah.
We did. It was a great event. I think they have some new designs of the cans coming out, or at least I saw those in some promos. They make 7 flavors, and all their flavors come in 6 and 9 milligrams. All right, let's play our last rank 'em blind of the season.
Yeah, it's the last season finale, so we're going to have fun with this one. It's not going to be too serious.
Let's do it.
And it's a topic that, I like to talk about. There was a lot of chatter about uniforms this year. I think Europe came through with the better kits this year from.
Well, it also had a little extra meaning because it was all like the past teams that won on the road.
Yeah, I don't know if the 4 stripes on the Sunday polos.
They need 5. They're gonna have 5 stripes.
Let's rank some of these former Ryder Cup kits.
Okay, outfits.
And I want to start with the GOAT in 2006, Mr. Tiger Woods. I love this brown on brown.
But what does that have to do with the USA? I feel like
It just looks good.
But shouldn't there be some patriotism here?
I don't know. Patriotism hasn't been looking that great.
It is my color scheme. What are we calling this? Brown on brown?
Brown on brown.
Okay, we're going Tiger brown on brown number 7.
Tiger and the toasted coconut.
Okay.
Chris DeMarco looking pretty sweet.
Chris DeMarco,
Look at those
baby.
sleeves. Jesus. All right, number 2, big rival of the GOAT back in the 90s, David Duval in 99. I love this.
This is number
shirt.
1. This is number 1. This was like our best Ryder Cup moment probably ever. Brookline, I got a good feeling about tomorrow, says Ben Crenshaw. Then Justin Leonard makes that putt and the Europeans lose their mind because they're celebrating on the green already. That's got to be number 1.
It's such a divisive shirt in like
It also has nothing to do with America. There's no red, white, and blue there, is there?
Well, in the intersection of menswear and golf, you either like love this or hate this. It's almost like a dog whistle to whether you know what you're talking about. If you like this shirt, you know what you're talking about.
Ball.
If you don't know ball.
I also like that he's a top button guy. I'm a top button guy.
I like that too. All right, number 3, Bernhard Langer in 93.
I need to see it first.
Love this with the green,
with
yellow.
the,
Look at the 3 layers.
The turtleneck.
Yeah, that's a green sweater with a yellow polo popping out.
This is just telling me that like all the cool guy golf fits now are just bringing back the 90s.
Yes,
That's
in the 80s.
It's circular. Fashion is circular. We're going Bernhard. What year is this? 93. That's going to be number 3.
All right, next up we have the emotional spirit of the European team.
Ooh, that's clean.
Seve Ballesteros
That is-
in a nice pink jumper.
Is that pink? I was going to say it was like
He's
off.
got gray slacks on, pleated.
I thought it was gray on gray.
Yeah.
I'm so colorblind.
That's why I'm here for you.
I like the pleats. I'm going number 2. That's strong.
Really good.
Seve and pink. We got 1, 2, and 3. I'm liking these old fits. Hopefully we're going to get some ugly ones.
I know. I want these to be examples of like what we need to do moving forward. All right, next up in 93 is Payne Stewart.
It's pretty. Is that?
Can you see the
Yes,
the cup on
I
it?
can see it. It is almost a little bit like one of those colorblind tests where it's like, can you see the number 6
Oh,
here?
yeah.
I don't know.
You can't wear it on your chest.
Yeah, I feel like it's like you can't wear the logo of the competition that big on your chest. I'm going number 8, Ryder Cup logo for Payne.
All right, next up is some more modern players here in 2004. We got a picture of Rory and Sergio here in a little.
It can't be 2004. 2014.
14, sorry.
That just looks like a Scotland
Typo.
flag, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is that the right colors
Yeah,
for the Scotland
that's why
flag?
I like it. Yeah, it's the royal blue with the Scotland flag.
I don't know. They're Team Europe. They're not Team Scotland. I'm going number 9 for that.
It's a nice nod.
Okay, where are we at so far? We have number 9. We have Rory and Sergio playing for Team Scotland, apparently. Number 8, we have Ryder Cup logo, kind of a full kit wanker move. Number 7, we got Tiger with the brown on brown. I think it looked okay, but it was just nothing about it said USA. Number 3, we have Bernhard Langer in 93. It was I like turtleneck. Number 2, Seve in pink. That's just a kind of an iconic look. And number 1 has got to be Brookline.
All right, next up, I think is 2004. I'm not wrong about this one. It's Phil and Tiger. Let's check it out. Look at these nice.
Is
that American enough
This
for you?
is number 10 because Phil and Tiger was the all-time disastrous Ryder Cup pairing. So Phil, people will remember, changed golf balls right before Hal Sutton, I think, plays him with Tiger, and Tiger gave Phil some looks like, "Where the fuck are you hitting the golf ball?" This was a very negative. They got smacked on home soil. This is number 10 for me. So we have 4, 5, and 6 still open.
All right, let's kick it over to the other team for this one. This is Seve and Jose Maria Olazabal.
Olazabal.
Oh, it's the same look.
Olazabal. You
No,
just tried to put the other one back. Is that not the same look?
Yeah, I messed up.
Okay, so that's number 6 because Ben messed up. Seve again. You know, we do hear about Seve nonstop on Ryder Cup week, so it is sort of fitting that he's in there twice.
Fun fact, Seve held out for not getting paid for the Ryder Cup. Just don't lose that fact.
Food for thought.
All right, 2012, the man himself, Ian Poulter.
I mean,
That's bright pink.
they ruined our dreams in that fit. That was probably the most heartbroken I've ever been. Like, I'm upset that the U.S. team lost, but I'm in a different role now. I remember 2012, I was 17, and I remember watching it at my parents' house, and I was, like, genuinely distraught.
You're, like, such a, pure 100% fan.
Yeah, because, like, when you don't have to think about, like, oh, I got to do a show tomorrow, like, you can really just lock in and be a fan.
Before we had content brain.
Exactly. I very much have content brain. Everything is work now. That's number 4, Ian Poulter. How good was he on our show, by the way? It was awesome.
So awesome talk, man. The last one, I wanted to give a nod to Loro Piana and the European kits this year in 2025. So this is Jon Rahm this year. I think it was from, I forget which day, but I really love this two-tone, like yellow sleeves, navy collar, white. And Loro Piana, you know it's quality.
Yeah, it definitely was like a $600 shirt. Yeah. All right, well, there it is. That's number 5. So number 10, we have Phil and Tiger, because I don't want to remember that ever again. Number 9, we have Rory playing for Team Scotland. Number 8, we have Ryder Cup logo Payne Stewart. Number 7, Tiger brown on brown. Number 6, we have Seve part 1. Number 5, we have Jon Rahm in the two-tone. Number 4, we have Ian Poulter ruining American hearts. Number 3, we have Bernhard Langer in 93. We love a turtleneck. Number 2, we have Seve part 2. And number 1, we have Berkline. Nice to have a positive memory.
Yeah,
in the Ryder Cup, because
it's a nice little break. Now we have to get back to the
very few and far between.
The great loss of 25.
So Keegan Bradley was asked what he would do differently, and the number one thing he said was the way the golf course was set up. I don't know why they had the tournament at Bethpage Black if it was going to be set up like that.
Yeah,
I say this without exaggeration. Distance aside, Bethpage Black played harder when you and your buddies camped out to play the golf course. It was unrecognizable. It was actually jarring to see. And there was a lot of rain on Thursday, but it was really soft before that, and there wasn't that much rain on Thursday, and the course never firmed up. I'm not saying that this benefited one team over another team, because the teams were basically a statistical dead heat going in. Yeah. It's not like, back in the day when the Europeans would play on the European Tour and they weren't used to American courses and soft greens, and, they all play on the U.S. a lot. I don't think it benefited one team, but they might as well had it at any random golf course if the greens were going to be that soft. It was like Bethpage Pink, not Bethpage Black. It was TPC Bethpage.
TPC Bethpage.
I mean, it was like on the first day, the 5th hole, Justin Thomas hits one in the right rough, ball's sitting way up. He's got like 210 yards in. It's a front pin. At Bethpage Black, like that should be dead. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be able to reach the green. It's going to be super firm. There's no way you get to a front pin. He hits a 5-iron or whatever it was way up in the air, and it literally just plops down. JJ Spawn hit a 5-wood from the middle of the fairway that literally didn't move when it landed. It was crazy. And one of the reasons, let me finish this. One of the reasons that this Ryder Cup was going to be so special was because of Bethpage Black and the Beast. And we all know that sign, highly skilled golfers only. That sign was like ironic this week. It was, and everyone was talking about, the Americans shot 22 under par and, they can't be blamed because the Europeans shot 36 under par. They were playing the easiest golf course out there. This would have been one of the easier setups on the PGA Tour. If this was a PGA Tour event and we watched this setup where there was no penalty for missing, so much so that it was almost better to be in the rough or the first cut because guys were having trouble controlling their spin, everyone would complain if this is a PGA Tour event. This is a joke of a setup. There was no penalty. There was no penalty for missing. You could hit it absolutely anywhere. I can't believe they neutered Bethpage Black like that. And you could tell Keegan was pissed. You could tell he didn't want it like that. He said, I've never seen the greens this soft. And then he would catch himself and say, they were perfect. The PGA of America, the grounds crew did an unbelievable job. I don't know if I agree with that. It didn't benefit one team or the other, but it was bad to watch. It was shitty to watch. As a golf sicko, I want there to be penalties for misses. I want good shots to be rewarded. And if you miss a green, it was like a guy would miss a green, and as long as he was close to the hole, it was like he might make this. There was no penalty for being short-sighted. There was no penalty for missing. There was no penalty for being further back because you could hold the greens. It was target practice. Yeah. They turned Bethpage Black into TPC Bethpage. Crazy setup. And it was from the first session, and it never firmed up. I don't know how it never firmed up. It was hot out there, and it was a little bit humid, but it was not like there was rain all week. It was unrecognizable. Rough is part of Bethpage Black's DNA. Bethpage Black without rough, Bethpage Black not being difficult is like Augusta with slow greens. Mm-hmm. What happened there?
There were 2 holes where it was really apparent to me, having played that course a bunch of times when I lived in New York. Number 3, the par 3,
yeah,
correct? Long par 3. Everyone's bailing out left when it had that front right pin on Sunday because, who cares? We can miss it long left in the rough. Just don't miss it right. Get up and down for par. And pars were maybe winning that hole if I had to guess a couple of times. And then 15 on Sunday, guys were blowing it out right. And usually, if you're way, way right on 15 there's fescue is high up to your knees.
There's high rough,
trampled down.
It's a crazy elevated green. You're not supposed to be able to just hit a 6-iron from the right rough onto the green and stick it like that.
That green is so hard to hit from the rough.
It wasn't this week.
Yeah.
And again, everyone was talking about, Scotty's teams were 22 under. It's you forget the score. It was the easiest golf course that you've ever seen almost.
That's why the other guys were 36 under.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they were 36 under. And everyone was saying, this team was 8 under in foursomes. the scores it was a completely different scale this week.
Are we at a complete and eternal disadvantage in winning an away Ryder Cup because the European players play on American soil way more often than the American players play links golf?
But they don't even do links golf usually. I mean, like Marco Simone, where they had it in Italy, was not a links course.
That's true.
2018 Le Golf National, not a links course.
True.
The Barcelona course where they're going, not a links course. But they're going to set it up with a lot of rough. That's what they usually do.
I guess I'm just thinking, I don't have any faith that we could win an away Ryder Cup at Adair Manor.
I mean, the good thing about Adair is it is sort of a very American-style golf course.
Is it?
Yeah, like I played it, made a 2 on the 14th hole, no big deal, which is a par 4.
We'll remember that in 2
Hooped a 9-iron. It looks like an amazing, it's almost like they call it the Augusta of Ireland, so it will look sort of very American.
We should go.
We're going to go.
All right, cool, let's go.
But yeah, I just, again, it didn't benefit the U.S. team or hurt the U.S. team, but I think we all lost with that setup. I had a lot of people in my DMs being like, I play Bethpage every week. I've never seen it like this. And you could tell Keegan was saying, I've never seen the greens this soft. I've never seen the greens this soft.
He did catch himself one time when he was like, even before the rain, like they were rolling a little slower.
They were soft the whole week. The rain didn't help. But the rain is not the reason why they were so soft.
No.
And Keegan said I may have made a mistake with the course setup. He did. Mm-hmm. The coverage this week was really poor. Really poor. It is astounding to me that in the year of our Lord 2025, there was not an option for fans at home, even a paid option, to watch all 4 matches on different streams. There was only one featured match that you could watch online. The broadcast was missing shots on Friday morning when there were only 8 balls in play. It was an epidemic of a moment ago's. If you're not going to show the shots live because you can't get all the cameras, whatever, don't then compound the error by telling us that it was a moment ago. Just pretend like it's live. Show us more golf shots and just pretend that they're live. By 2027, when the Ryder Cup's at Adair Manor, there has to be an option for people to watch every match on individual streams. It's just not that difficult. If there's one tournament where we should be able to make it happen, it's the Ryder Cup, when there's only 4 matches in play at one time or 12 matches on Sunday. Golf fans, it's an affluent audience. Give us a way to pay for more coverage and people will pay. NBC majorly dropped the ball. The commercial load was absolutely out of control. You had people logging on who are not even the normal people who complain about commercials. Chris Gotterup and Grant Horvat being like, what is going on with all these commercials? I had a buddy text me being like, I've been trying to watch the Ryder Cup, but it's 10 minutes of golf followed by 20 minutes of commercials. And Alan brought up a really good point. When people watch the NFL, do they complain about the coverage? No, you see every play. Figure it out. It's a freaking entertainment product. There's only 50,000 people who are on the ground. There's millions watching around the world. How have we not figured out coverage? In the NBA, do people say, you see everything. It's sports. In tennis, do they miss points? No. Figure out a way to show us every golf shot of a tournament when there's only 4 matches in play for the first 2 days.
I don't know if the other sports comparison is fair because, like, if there were 4 football fields and there were 4 football games,
it's called a red zone, my friend.
They would miss some.
That's not true. It's called red zone.
Well,
you can have Sunday ticket and you can watch all the different. That's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. It might be. It's an excuse for a tour event when there's 144 guys playing. There's only 4 matches on the golf course at once. On the first 2 days.
It's just more cameras, right? Like,
it's just more cameras.
I think it came into effect more on Sunday when things were so tight and like every shot mattered. We wanted to see every single shot.
How about we didn't even see the Ryder Cup was still like sort of in the balance, whatever. The Colin Morikawa versus Tyrrell Hatton match, we didn't even see the tee shots or the second shots on 18. Mm-hmm. We just saw the putts. Like, if you have to cut away from and like they want to do the post-round interview with all the players, we want to see golf shots. Yeah. We'll see interviews,
especially when a comeback is mounting of epic proportions like that.
They will find a way to. You can show all the interviews that you want after the fact. Show us the golf shots. Have different feeds for the different matches. We have to figure this out.
Shout out to Rolex. They came through with a couple like hours.
It was a godsend.
Yeah,
it was a godsend. So let's get some more of that Rolex money. Let's get if you're an advertiser, don't do commercials. Do one of these sponsored commercial-free segments because everyone's the net positive that you're going to get vastly outweighs. Yeah, you get some brand loyalty there. So the crowd. We're going to talk about the crowd in a bit here, the negative side of the crowd. The positive side of the crowd, and really this is just Ryder Cups, is every outcome in the Ryder Cup has a different sound. You can almost follow the Ryder Cup if you're on the ground without even watching the match. A good shot from the home team has a sound, and it's a little bit different from a made putt from the home team, and it's a little bit different from a putt to win the hole from the home team, and that's a little bit different from a putt to tie the hole from the home team. A good shot from the away team sounds a little bit different from a bad shot, actually way different from a bad shot from the away team. Sounds a little different from a made putt from the away team, from a missed putt to win the hole to tie the hole. The sounds are something that I always remember when I go to the Ryder Cup, and I'm very lucky to do what I do. It's something that makes me very happy. You can really close your eyes and kind of follow each match.
I was reading what you wrote in that for your 18 parting thoughts on Sunday yesterday, and closed my eyes and listened. I was like, okay, I need to know who makes this putt, but I'm going to close my eyes, and it was beautiful.
It's beautiful. You can do it without even watching. It was awesome being on the range this week because it's one of the best ranges because it's only the 24 best players in the world. Like, it's all absolute flushers out there, and golf swings are just as unique as fingerprints. And there are certain threads that are present, obviously a square club face and obviously the way that they, turn their body through. But there's a lot of room for artistic expression for these sort of homemade eccentricities. So let's highlight one on each team. Rasmus Højgaard, his right knee locks in his backswing in a way that almost looks like he's tearing his meniscus every time that he swings it.
Oh my God.
But to my knowledge, he has never torn his meniscus, and he absolutely flushes it. And then on the American side, Ben Griffin has just the most peculiar move with his chin when he's swinging. Watch his chin. The chin goes up in the downswing. Looks like he's going to strain his neck every time he hits it. Watch the chin here.
Wow.
It's bizarre.
Is that how he's getting that tilt?
I don't know what it is, but neither man has suffered the injury that it looks like they're going to suffer all the time. And it's the same thing with Joaquin Niemann. Like, you see Joaquin Niemann swinging, he's like this, and you think, oh, his back's... Bodies are idiosyncratic machines. There's no right way to swing it. And I was reminded of that this week. So let's talk about data. Data is a great tool, but it's not everything in the Ryder Cup. So every Ryder Cup cycle, we make the same mistake. We extrapolate data from a season full of 72-hole stroke play events, and we treat it as gospel at the Ryder Cup, but they're just not apples to apples. It's a very small sample size. For some guys, it's only 3 rounds, and if they play foursomes, it's really like almost 2.5 rounds. And every single hole feels like Sunday in contention. So I think Justin Rose is a really good model for this. The advanced stats said that he was one of the weaker players on either team. Mm-hmm. But that's over 72-hole stroke play events across a whole season. So I actually asked Rose about this earlier this year, about how he's dealt with, the changing reality of getting older. And he said, I love to say I can roll with it every single week. I do have some challenges. I'm flying transatlantic 7 to 10 times or more, 12 times a year. That takes its toll. I think I have a lot of other things going on in my life with a busy family, kids growing up, all these sort of things, almost dealing with young adults now. So there's a lot of other things I have to pay attention to. I can't just be solely distracted by golf or solely focused on golf. I think I should be realistic about what's achievable, but there's plenty of golf tournaments in a small enough window of time that I can focus on. And I really believe that the ones that truly matter to me are all attainable still. I feel like I don't necessarily have to be number one in the world again to feel like there's enough to play for me. The translation there, when I'm up for it, I still got it.
It sounds very Rory-esque.
We saw this at the Masters when he charged final round 64 only to fall just short. And we saw it when he beat an elite field in Memphis in the heat. And we saw it when he played absurdly good golf during Saturday afternoon's 4-ball session. He birdied 6 of his first 8 holes. Not every round of golf that these guys play is equal. It might be for Scottie Scheffler, and this is kind of what you were talking about earlier. Scottie seems to have the same attitude at every tournament. Mm-hmm. It's one of the reasons why he's so incredible week to week. But I had a conversation with Rory McIlroy a couple of weeks ago where he said that's just not me. I don't come into every tournament with the same focus, with the same motivation. We saw that on steroids this year. After he won the Masters, we saw this swoon. We saw this adrenaline dump, whatever you want to call it, and he showed up to the PGA and he showed up to the US Open and just seemed like he was only half there. That's the problem with data over an entire season and then trying to apply it to this cauldron of emotion that is the Ryder Cup. Justin Rose, when he's up for it, the data is going to be completely different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tommy Fleetwood, like these guys, it's such a small sample size that I just think data is incredible, and it's an amazing tool for forecasting things, and it's great to give us a better idea. But it's probably the least applicable in a Ryder Cup because the advanced stats, everyone's saying, oh, this was so obvious, Europe is going to win, Europe's going to win. But you almost like can't have it both ways. If you say it was so obvious Europe was going to win, then you talk about the data and the U.S. should have gone with these different pairings. The data said that the Americans had the better team.
Yeah.
Vegas had the U.S. as favorites. It's not because of data that Europe keeps winning these Ryder Cups.
Sunday singles first match is case in point. Out of 10 times, Jay Rose is playing Cam Young one-on-one. Who are you picking to win that match in a non-Ryder Cup setting?
I don't, who?
Probably Cam Young,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, he did win.
He did, but barely.
Yeah.
And Justin Rose gave it to him, and like maybe in a one-on-one match in a normal setting, that shouldn't be that close. But Justin Rose in the Ryder Cup is not Justin Rose not in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah,
so that's what you're saying.
It's exactly what I'm saying. It's like our guys are better on paper in 72-hole stroke play events, but it's just not a 72-hole stroke play event. We're going to get a little somber here. Not a little somber, extremely somber here. So the golf community lost one of its own this week. McKenna White passed away at just a way too young age. And every death hits hard, but to lose someone so full of life, with so much life in front of them, is a tragedy. So the news trickled through the grounds on Friday afternoon after one of her friends posted this message on her Instagram, and it hit like a gut punch. McKenna was just so extremely nice. And that might sound a little simplistic, but it's sort of a dying quality. And anyone who knew her has a story. Mine is that she would defend me on social media to trolls when there was absolutely nothing in it for her to defend me. She would be like, why are you guys being so mean to him? And she just hated to see anyone in distress, even if she hardly knew them. So hug your loved ones tight, make people feel loved, be nice to people. It's so easy, but it goes such a long way. Try to be just a little bit more like McKenna, because it was really difficult to try to focus on work on Friday when that news went out. It just puts everything into perspective of, we have such strong feelings about this tournament. We have such strong feelings about golfers, but it's not the real stuff that matters in life. And it's truly a tragic one.
Yeah, and I'm glad that during the short time that we got to interact with her, that it was like such a cool, positive, fun way on the show. Like when we brought her tweets into the show, and she would text you back and forth.
I couldn't believe it, because she was just seemed so positive, seemed like everything was going so well. So it's a true tragedy. Okay, it's hard to segue from that back into golf, but we're gonna do it. The American crowd was really disappointing on Friday and Saturday. Talking about Rory's wife, and it's not just the meanness. It was like the lack of cohesion among the crowd. So we live in a black and white world where everyone wants there to be like one reason why the crowd stunk, but it was a combination of things. It was ticket prices, it was the scoreboard, it was general assholery, but it was also the lack of songs. And I think Europe, because of pub culture and because of soccer or football culture, there's this baseline of songs. They had so many this week that USA is terrified, Europe's on fire. They had In Your Head, Roar Right. There was do Victor Hovland, the Olays, the Viking claps that they do when they're there. On the US side, it was just USA or fuck you. That's all it was. And we have this clip of, I guess, they brought in like crowd leaders to try to get some songs going, and it was legitimately hard to watch. Let's roll this.
Slow down. You guys all took Adderall this morning. Slow down. Here we go. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap. Here come the lyrics. Scotty Scheffler.
That's brutal on the eyes.
Why do they need somebody to do that? Isn't everybody who's ever been to a sporting event know?
How bad was that, dude?
It's hard to watch, and it's not even like the worst thing that happened.
The European fans are just way better, because with the songs, going back to the song point, there's like a little bit of levity in it, right? Like they're usually pretty funny. Like even when they chirp the Americans, and I was in Rome, they chirp the Americans, but it's not these like crazy personal insults. But also a little bit of this was like, play stupid games and win stupid prizes. Like bring a Ryder Cup to Long Island, to New York fans. And I think everyone talked about how passionate New York fans are. I think New York fans are pretty brutal. I mean, like when Aaron Judge goes like 0 for 3 in a playoff game, they start booing him. It's not like we know the New York fans as one to pick up their own and to get behind their team. They love winners and they hate losers. And there was also just kind of a unique dynamic in golf that allowed this to kind of spiral out of control, which is how close the fans can get and an expectation of silence. So I don't think that what was said at Bethpage Black was any worse than what the Yankee fans are going to say to the Red Sox fans when their playoff series starts later this week. But it's golf, and we're just not used to it in golf. Golf is supposed to be different. You're supposed to have a level of respect. It's one of the reasons why we love this game. It's that it teaches you lessons in life, and golf is supposed to be different, and it wasn't different this week. And we didn't expect it to be different. It's just all we talked about in the lead up was like, this crowd is going to be brutal. This crowd is going to be brutal. I don't know what the PGA of America was expecting, but you knew that was going to happen with Rory on Saturday. You just knew it was, and we have a clip of Rory talking about it. Let's roll what Rory had to say about the fans.
I think golf should be held to a higher standard than what was seen out there this week. Golf has the ability to unite people. Golf teaches you very good life lessons. It teaches you etiquette. It teaches you how to play by the rules. It teaches you how to respect people. And, sometimes this week we didn't see that. Come and support your team. I think if I was an American, I would be annoyed that I didn't hear a lot of shouts for Scotty today, but I heard a lot of shouts against me. And it's like, support your players.
Support your players with songs. That's how you support your players. It almost felt like the European fans were easier to hear than the American fans, because if you have a lot of people yelling isolated things, it does not carry as far sound-wise as 20 people who are singing the same song.
Yet another perfect analogy for, again, like the dichotomy between these two entities, right? Like they're in unison so you can hear them. They're all individually trying to be the loudest voice, and so it's just messy.
Yeah, and on the U.S. side, I was there this week. The atmosphere was just kind of mean.
Yeah.
It wasn't electric until Sunday. It wasn't fun. It was just kind of nasty. Like, it was just ugly. And there's no creativity to saying "fuck you, Rory," or to saying stuff to Rory's wife. It's just like, what a dick you are.
Yeah.
And that's not. There's a way to do it, And I think Rory said, it's not about like yelling at us or booing us, or when a European misses a putt to win the hole and it rolls past the hole and you go, oh, like meat left on that bone. Like that's all fair game. But the personal insults without any sort of levity, without any sort of creativity, it just felt like annoying, nasty trolls on the internet got their chance to talk shit to Rory McIlroy, and they had a couple Miller Lite tall boys, so they're feeling really funny.
Yep.
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. As an American, I apologize to the Europeans. I also want to say it was not the majority of fans, but there's always 2 or 3% of assholes. But I think that because of the way that golf is, with everyone so close and this expectation of silence, those assholes had an outsized voice this week.
I was thinking a lot about college football in this regard, and like I went to Penn State, huge college football school.
They have good fan culture, college football.
When Ohio State or Michigan, or when we go down to Alabama a couple years ago, like, yeah, we're all loud and supportive of our teams, and like, a lot of fuck you towards this and that. But after the game, it always comes together. Like, I've shook hands with so many opposing teams during my time at Penn State, and I don't think that European fans would have walked away this weekend being like, hey, good match. Like, they were like, you guys fucking suck.
They crossed the line.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that you can't jeer guys and you can't support your own team, but it just felt like it was all with a tone of nastiness.
I think Europeans probably turned their nose up a little bit at American culture at times, and I don't think that helped us.
Well, I think, again, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Bring a Ryder Cup, which is unlike anything else in golf. There's the nationalism sort of undertones. Put that on Long Island, and that's what you're going to get. Shane Lowry talked about the abuse that Erica McIlroy got this week. Let's roll that clip.
I was out there for 2 days with Erica McIlroy, and the amount of abuse that she received was astonishing, and the way she was out there supporting her husband and supporting her team was unbelievable, and kudos to her for that.
Just don't bring the families into it, and I honestly don't even think that Pinehurst shouts to Rory, that's not even really crossing the line. If they were chanting Pinehurst, like, that's funny. That's
good spirit, yeah.
That's good spirit. Like, when you're getting into a guy's marriage and I understand like it happens in other sports, but golf is not other sports, and I don't want it to become other sports.
I think those guys also know the platform that they have, and they wouldn't be like actually speaking up about how bad it was if it wasn't actually bad. They've dealt with this in their careers before. I think we can accept that this actually was pretty.
And I don't think it's the whole country. I think a lot of it was like being on Long Island. I was at Whistling Straits. I don't remember it being anywhere near as nasty.
No, in fact, at Whistling Straits, I felt like we had a little bit more of like a unison among the crowd. Like there was like a different sort of patriotism.
It was the Ryder Cup crowd, a home crowd should have like a celebratory feel of they're celebrating the event, and it didn't have that feel. Apologies really on behalf of Americans for the 2% of assholes who gave us a really bad name. It's unfortunate. Moving on. I got a real kick out of seeing Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau's name on the PGA Tour app this week. I am a sicko. Welcome to the show, Dan on Golf. They're both an absolute joy to watch. They really are. And I miss watching them on a weekly basis against all the other guys who were in this competition.
I felt the same way watching them interact with their PGA Tour contemporaries.
Bryson leans into the entertainment aspect like no other pro golfer. And Rahm just has aura, like serious aura. And it's a damn shame that this fracture in pro golf has gone on as long as it has. And it would be a travesty if it eats into more years of these two guys' prime. They're two greats. They're two multiple major winners. Just either figure it out or come back, guys. Just come back. We welcome everybody with open arms. I miss watching Bryson and I miss watching Jon Rahm. They are two massive characters in our game, and we need characters.
It's so sad because it makes me think in like 15 years we're going to be older men looking back being like, man, we didn't get to see like everything that we could have seen out of those guys.
100%. It's already been 4 years.
Yeah.
It's gone on way too long. And I know from we're speaking as sort of fans here, fans of the game, and I understand it's way more complicated than that with the legal aspect and the payment stuff. But it's like, I just want to see Bryson and Rahm on a weekly basis, and I want to see them playing against Scotty and playing against Rory. And I know you can go watch Live Golf, but it's not the same. And I won't be gaslit into thinking that it's just like the same thing if you turn it. It's not. The best place to watch these competitions, most of the best players in the world, the biggest tournaments, the best courses are on the PGA Tour. And because of a lot of things, and I'm not saying that, they're blameless or that, that this happened by accident, or we're not getting to watch all-time greats like we should.
Yeah.
And that's a shame.
Yeah. So you can still watch them hit golf shots, but there's a lot more to it than just watching a guy hit a golf shot.
There's a lot more to it.
I love watching hit shots.
Yeah. So our last parting thought is also our dog of the week. Drum roll, please. Our dog of the week is Matt Fitzpatrick. There might not be a player on the planet who picks their tee up faster than an in-form Matt Fitzpatrick, and this was the best I've seen him swing it since Brookline, and how good he must feel. So he was completely off the Ryder Cup radar just a few months ago, lost in the abyss. His swing coach of 15 years is stuck at home, dealing with a really difficult personal matter. Then came a link up with Mark Blackburn and a really rapid uptick in performance. But for all of his personal success, won the U.S. Open, the Ryder Cup record was a malignant tumor on his resume. He wasn't just poor, he was historically bad, coming into this week with a horrible 1-7 record. And Luke Donald placed serious faith, putting him out first, or in the first session in foursomes Friday morning alongside Ludwig Oberg. And he delivered a masterclass, gaining over 4 strokes overall in essentially half a round. He was by far the best player in the session, and he kept it up throughout the week. And he'll be disappointed not to have closed out Bryson DeChambeau. He was up 5 up through 7, but that comeback was more a result of Bryson's great play than Fitz blowing it. So Fitz went 2-1-1 this week, and he just played fantastic. And here's a guy who probably wishes that the golf season weren't over. And I know Matt personally, and I know how much the Ryder Cup stuff weighed on him. I mean, I think one of the lowest moments of his career was 2021. He was playing in the last singles match against Daniel Berger, and the Europeans were trying to avoid the worst blowout in Ryder Cup history, and they're all square going to 18. He hits one right down the middle, and he legitimately hits 6 inches behind the ball and dumps it into the water, and they lose. And I remember watching Padraig Harrington and Rory McIlroy kind of put their arms around him as he was walking up, and he was so distraught after that week because again, we know how much the Ryder Cup means to all of these guys, and he had, put cake all over. He'd embarrassed himself, and he was really, really good this week. He was really good this week. He played his ass off all week, even though he didn't win all of his sessions. Like we talked about, there's vagaries of match play. It depends who you're going against. Bryson caught fire, made like 4 or 5 birdies in a row. Wasn't like Fitz blew it. He's our dog of the week because he came into this week. Alan talked about how he was the one with the most pressure. There were some people who thought, oh, should he be on the team? He should have been on the team, and he played his butt off all week. So shout out to Fitzy. He is our dog of the week. We are going to finish the show. We're going to make some announcements afterward, but we're going to finish the show with chirps from the gallery because it was a huge week on golf Twitter as well. Let's look at these signs. Gabby Herzig posted this saying this sort of sums it up. Stop the count. There was a lot of Donald Trump chirps out there from the European team. Make Scotty great again. 50% tariff on European points. A for creativity there. We talked about how the U.S. Ryder Cup team was really good on paper, and Chris Powers was quick to note that, unfortunately, the Ryder Cup is played on grass. We had a good team on paper. Unfortunately, the game was played on grass. We didn't talk about this in the show. Scotty Scheffler saved my career. Saved my career. So Claire Rogers said, congrats to Scotty on his solo win and to Daniel Rappaport for not... I want to change that to Dan Rappaport. How do I change that? Congrats to Daniel Rappaport for not having to shut his entire show down. So we, early in the week, we fielded we wanted outlandish predictions from you guys. And one person said Scotty goes 0-5. And I said, that's impossible for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's the best player in the world. Number two, if he loses his first 3 matches, do they really send him out there for the 4th match on Saturday afternoon? The answer was yes. He loses his first 3 matches, and yes, he lost again. They put him out there and he lost again on Saturday afternoon. And I said I would retire if he went 0-5. It was dicey.
We were close.
We were really close.
I was preparing show notes.
It was going to be Ben on Golf. we were really close to a Ben on Golf episode. I don't know what I would have done. It's like, I guess we all, what's that old meme of the Nazi who we don't want to, I won't say his name on the show, but he said, I guess everyone wants to know what we would do if we didn't win. I guess we'll never find out. I guess we'll never know. I guess we'll never know if I actually would have retired. But you know what? I'm going to sit here and say I would have retired. But I didn't have to because Scotty came through for me. 1-4. Not how he wanted the week to go. He was almost in tears at the end. Let's Rory. Most of our chirps that we have on this show are online chirps. There's some in real life chirps. Rory got chirped big time in real life, and then he came back with an amazing response. Let's roll this clip.
With all that in mind, everything you go through, how satisfying is it to turn around to someone and say, quote, shut the F up, and then stiff it to 2 feet?
Very fucking satisfying.
Congratulations.
It wasn't stiff. I had to put it.
I'm glad I got the timing in there.
Yeah, Europe's just better at the Ryder Cup. They're better at the press conferences. They're better at partying.
Better at the bus ride home.
Yeah, they are better at the bus ride home. So let's show some of these images from the party. Tyrrell Hatton is always a menace out there. He said, "Who's going to be Strokes game party?" This was incredible. What a shot this was. So apparently, I guess the European team had this quote from Keegan Bradley in some sort of team room. We are going to Bethpage to kick their fucking ass. They had that staring them in the face all week. And after Shane Lowry made the putt to secure the retain, they ended up winning it, but to secure the retaining of the cup, he went into this blow-up chair in Ryder Cup pajamas and took a picture in front of, we are going to go to Bethpage to kick their fucking ass. Have a day, Shane.
The subtle reveal that was there all week. I love it.
Incredible. This cracked me up. Ludwig drinking a beer. These beers are reminding Luddy about the Alpha Phi at Texas Tech that got away.
Wow. Shout out to you for saying Alpha Phi. You knew that.
Yeah.
A lot of people say Phi.
I was in a frat, not to brag. And then I just wanted to finish this with a little discussion about Rory McIlroy. This is the year of Rory, man. So 2024 was really tough for Rory. The heartbreak at Pinehurst, his personal life spilling into the public eye. This was the year that Rory morphed from a bit of a what could have been to an all-time legend. And that sounds a little bit harsh because before this year, Rory had won all the FedEx Cups and he'd won 4 majors. But I think when you win 4 majors at the age of 25 or whatever he was, and then you don't win anymore and you don't complete the career Grand Slam, I think part of the narrative forever would have been, what happened with Rory. He'd been dreaming of a year like this. Golf careers last a really, really long time. It's a testament to not giving up, to not going away quietly, to keep pushing because you never know when it's going to turn your way. So this year, Rory said that before the year, he said there were a couple things on his resume that he really wanted before the end of his career. He wanted to win the Masters, check. He wanted to win another Road Ryder Cup, check. And he wants an Olympic medal. And you know where the next Olympic Games golf competition is?
Los Angeles.
Just down the road at Riviera Country Club.
Let's go.
You know, Alan said that he's going to vote for Rory for Player of the Year, and I initially scoffed at it because I know what my eyes saw with individual competitions on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
But Scotty really only plays on the PGA Tour, and there is a world outside of the PGA Tour. And, you know, this year, Rory won the Players. He won the Masters to complete the career Grand Slam. He won the Irish Open in an incredible scene, probably the best crowd roar of the whole year. And he was a crucial part of a team that won on the road in the Ryder Cup. It's going to be a very interesting vote now. It's going to be a very interesting vote now because, you know, we do this show every week. And so we talk about every tournament, and Scotty won a lot of the tournaments. But if you zoom out, who had the better year? Scotty, we talk about data. Scotty had the better year data-wise. Scotty won more tournaments. But in the big moments, it's interesting. It's really, you know, I would have to read the criteria of what I'm actually voting on. But 2025 might go down as Rory's year. Is that crazy to say?
No, I think like, you know, 100 pennies and a dollar bill are the same thing. And I think Rory got a dollar bill and Scotty got 100 pennies this year. And I think you kind of give it to Rory because that, what you just showed is kind of like a Mount Rushmore. Like he could have just picked which ones he wanted to make it look really good. Like that's a portfolio right there. Scotty won the Byron Nelson. Like, can you compare that to?
Right, Scotty won in Napa.
Yeah,
it's and I think it's also like a view into, you know, their number one, number two. It also, you know, would be kind of difficult because Scotty did beat him in singles. Like, let's not forget that Scotty actually won, but it is a view into the different ways that they approach golf. Scotty is there every single week with that same mentality, and he wins a bunch of tournaments. Rory is going to give you the roller coasters. He's going to have weeks where he's in it, and he's going to have weeks where he's not in it. But he was in it for the right weeks this year. And he won the Masters. He completed the career Grand Slam. He won a Road Ryder Cup. He won the Irish Open. He won another Players Championship. There's a lot, you know. And I was talking a lot about Alan. He's on the show. Well, don't fly in the middle of the show, Alan. But you know, if he said, you know, the Players, everyone says the Players is the fifth major, and the Ryder Cup is like what the biggest event. So if there's actually sort of 6 majors a year, or sort of 5.5, if you want to call that Players sort of a half a major, but they're calling the Ryder Cup a major. Scotty won 2, and Rory won 3, 3.5. 2. Sorry. I'm going to start that over because my math got wrong there. If there are 5.5 majors, we'll call it 5.5 majors for the year.
Okay.
We'll say it's the 4 majors plus the Ryder Cup plus the Players is half a major.
Is half.
Rory got 2.5 and Scotty got 2. It depends on what you value. Do you value the week-to-week consistency? Do you value a guy racking up PGA Tour wins, or do you value these big career-defining moments?
I think you have to wait until the end of the season, which is why they do it, and look at both things next to each other. Because if you were riding waves, I think you're saying Scotty, but coming out of this week, like you can't not think about Rory McIlroy.
And I think if Rory wins the race to Dubai, which I have no doubt that he'll probably win,
and the Australian Open probably too.
Right. There's still a couple carrots there for Rory that there aren't for Scotty because Scotty is so US focused. He plays golf in the United States. That's what he does.
Scotty's got a few more Player of the Years left in him too.
100%.
Give this one to Rory.
But I want Scotty to take the show on the road a little bit more. And I understand that he likes being there at home for, you know, the kids. I'd like to see Scotty tee it up outside the United States a little bit more often than he does.
Be good for golf.
It'd be great for golf. So I'd like to give a special thanks to Zone Nicotine Pouches for all they do and supporting us all season long. It was great to finally meet the team. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical, underage sale prohibited. I always carry at least 1 can in my bag. When I need to dial things in on the course, I go with Zone Nicotine Pouches. They have a stronger nicotine intensity. The other ones aren't even really close. They have better flavors. They last longer. They're more comfortable than any other pouch out there. And I've talked about this before, how they make 7 flavors in both 6 and 9 milligrams. So the big game changer, there's 20 pouches in this can versus the other guys who offer 15. I mean, if you want more, you won't catch me on the golf course without at least 1 can of Zone in my bag. If you want Zone pouches at a discount and mailed right to your door, head to nickokick.com, NICOKICK.com, and enter code DanOnGolf20 at checkout for an additional 20% off. Guys, this is our last time being in the studio for this year. We'll have videos going up on the channel. We're not exactly sure what it's going to look like, but this is the last of 2025 of Ben and I in this beautiful studio talking to you sickos with all this professional, beautiful lighting and all these different cameras. Please subscribe to the channel. It makes a big difference for us. Smash a like on the video. We've got a lot of really big things planned for season 2 of Dan on Golf. We're going to have more shows. I'm not going to get exactly into the details of what that means, but it will be very clear starting in the first week of 2025. We're going to try to freshen some things up, come to you with a bit of a new look, but just a little gratitude from me. I left a rocket ship at Barstool Sports at Foreplay to start something new, and it's daunting when you're starting something new and you go from 500,000 subscribers or whatever it is that Foreplay has to we were starting at 0, and we still have a long way to go. But I feel there's a really special community here of golf sickos. Check out the hat; it'll be on sale very soon. I feel there's a really special community. I notice a lot of you coming back week after week, commenting on the videos, commenting on social. I feel warm inside because I feel like we've got something special here. Ben, you've been a massive piece of the show. You were the one who told us, let's just do it live. We had a meeting at Century City Mall. I think we've done like 33 or something of these, plus all the midweek streams that we've done. There's been a lot of live content that we've delivered on this channel. Watch-alongs have been electric. We're going to be back with those starting in the new year. So I'm just feeling very grateful to everyone, our production staff, to Andy, to Alex Bush, to Daniel, to Carl, to Nicole, to Jared, our technical director. It's been an incredible season 1 of Dan on Golf. The Ryder Cup didn't go the way that we all wanted it to, but being able to clown with you guys and knowing that I have this platform, because before I always talked about, it's just difficult when writing. There's tone is lost. And, I think we've tried to approach golf with, we love it so much, but it's also not the most serious thing in the world. And I think we've struck a really good tone of caring a lot, but also being able to see light in it and to see how this is supposed to be a distraction really from all of your guys' daily life. And you come here for fun. You don't come here to feel like you're being lectured. You don't come here to feel like you're reading a dictionary. We've tried to have fun with it. You guys have been a huge piece of it. So we're going to take a little time off. We're going to recharge the batteries. I've got a lot of content that I'm filming in the next few months for the Scratch YouTube channel that's sort of outside the Dan on Golf universe. We're getting back out there for the college series. We're getting back out there with On the Bag, where I caddy for tour pros and film the whole thing. But just wanted to give a thank you to our golf sickos. You guys are an incredible audience. Tell your friends about the show, about this community. I think we're onto something special. Ben, you got any parting messages?
I want to give a special shout out to everybody who commented live on all 33 episodes and all of our watch-alongs throughout the season. Next season, we're going to be talking to you guys a lot more live on the show. We're excited about that. So please subscribe, like this video, and get ready for next season because we're ready to talk to you, not just to each other.
Yeah, and just before we go, a quick congratulations to Team Europe. I mean, what an incredible performance. I'll never forget those first 2 days. Every time the U.S. tried to mount a comeback, Europeans just answered with a 30-footer of their own. It was an incredible performance.
It was really impressive.
Really impressive. The better team won. I wish Bethpage Black didn't play like Bethpage Pink, but we live to fight another day. I love all of you golf sickos. We'll see you very soon.